Hey guys, Tarke here, and I'm going to cover my plans for the 2-week Mayhem. If you're not aware, the Mayhem race is a 2-week race starting today in 5 hours, 45 minutes, and 50-ish seconds. The rule set is each area other than the towns and the Twilight Strand will contain large numbers of dangerous inhabitants of 1 out of 5 different types. Rogue exiles, tormented spirits, go away phone, invaders, strongboxes, or breaches. So basically, you're going to be having a lot of excess free loot if you can survive at the start. It'll be one of those things at the start, it'll be very intimidating with all this extra damage, but the second you've got to build steamrolling, you're just going to be rolling on the currency. Now, because of rogue exiles and tormented spirits, those are just mostly whatever. There are 1 or 2 sketchy ones. ED Exile says hello. But otherwise, you don't need to worry about those too much. The scary ones are the invaders, just because some of the invasion bosses can mess you up. Generally, don't be playing builds which are really bad with reflect if you don't pay attention, because some of the invasion bosses have reflect mechanics. Strong boxes means you want an AoE clear build, and breaches means you want a good AoE clear build. So with that in mind, I'm going to be going with Prolift shenanigans. Another reason why I'm going Prolift base is the 3.0 beta hasn't been very kind to damage over time. It keeps nearly getting somewhere, and then GGG says no. There was Perfect Agony Flame Blast, which was the crit multi thing. Then GGG killed that. It went from 75% multi to your damage to only 30% of your crit multi, which is kind of a significant nerf. There was Decay, which was really powerful for leveling and then sort of tapered out as it went into mapping. What GGG decided to do was to cut Decay's top end damage by 50%, which means it's still completely busted for leveling, but now is near useless for endgame. So yeah, this is kind of the time, if you have any Ignite based or Poison based like Prolify AoE build you want to play, do it now, because it really isn't looking that great. So with that in mind, I am going to be going Explosive Arrow, and I'm going to be playing in Hardcore, not SSF. There will be a Softcore, a Hardcore, and an SSF option. I was really tempted to play SSF, but at the same time, I've been nagged by a few of my regular friends who I like to play with, and also I'm not sure if I can really be bothered to push for rank 1 Demi. It's one of those things of, I've done it before. If I pick like a really obscure ascendancy like Deadeye in Hardcore, then I could probably go for it. But I'll probably have more fun just playing the 2-week, and I could always push on the last week if I felt like it. So with that in mind, I am going for something which I know works. I'm going Explosive Arrow, Mind over Matter, Elementalist. And again, unless you're someone who really enjoys pushing for that rank 1, don't play a dumb ascendancy just for the chance of getting the ascendancy. It's a 2-week. People reroll constantly. At the end of the 1 week, people like stealing spots with like a day, 2 days left on a reroll. It's far more important that you have a strong league start, that you establish your Atlas and you establish a currency base, than just happening to be on a Saboteur. For example, you could play something like Val Fireball, Elementalist at the start, establish this massive wealth of sextants, have a fully set up Atlas, have all this raw currency, then like 3 days before the end, just reroll something like Sab, and then get the rank 1 Sab. But anyway, so I'm going to go Explosive Elementalist. It's got incredibly good AoE clear, meaning it'll be great for all the breaches, strong boxes, prolif, whatever. It's also pretty safe against reflect from being an elementalist, so it's not too likely that I'll randomly off-screen myself to some of the scary invasion bosses, and it's not looking that bright in 3.0. Now, to level it, you can level it as Flame Blast totems. I can't stand Flame Blast totems. I've played it a few times, it just sort of sends me to sleep. This is what I should level as. This is probably what I will level as. I might cop out and just do like Fireball leveling. It's not that bad, and I kind of enjoy it, but basically, get damage, get totem stuff, get MoM for survivability. The only things you really need for the Explosive Arrow setup is 1 to 2 Quill Rains. Ideally, you have 2. With Mind over Matter, you really do want the Leech enchant on Boots, which is Life and Mana Leech if you've killed recently, and also a Spirited to Response Jewel, which is the Rallying Cry Jewel, which is when you take damage and you've got the Rallying Cry buff active, you gain some of that damage as mana. So basically it's a way to keep your mana buffer high. So with that, a little bit of mana investment on the tree and leech enchant, you're alright. What I would probably recommend is just farming a little bit of Cruel Lab to get the boot enchant easily early on. Otherwise, just transition to Explosive later when you have the boot enchant that you've either bought off someone or acquired it yourself, etc. Other than that, there's really nothing else you need. A Devoto's Devotion is incredibly helpful, however, since it gives you movement speed, which is clear speed, attack speed, which is clear speed, and gives you a bunch of flat decks, which eases up your deck requirements everywhere else in your gear. Also, remember that ED Exile I was talking about? Doing this means you get some Chaos Res here. You also get the Chaos Res on the Devotos. If you have a tiny bit of Chaos Res on your gear, you're like, boom, 0% Chaos Res, which means that you're much less likely to fall over to him, and you've got a bunch of flat life regen. I know it sounds stupid to sort of like plan a little bit around a Rogue Exile, but seriously, like, I fucking hate that Rogue Exile. Otherwise, you can just play this thing called CI. I hear it's okay, but yes, this is my plan. As for links and all of that other stuff, and for like detailed map clear, I'm going to leave a link to a build guide that Waggle did. I've referenced this guide before. It was something that I based an Explosive character off earlier into Legacy League, 3 or 4 months ago when I was playing that. And it works. It's just really solid, and I'll give a link to his if you want to see all the finer details. And for Bandits, life, kill or attack speed, and then frenzy or endurance or kill, I'll probably just go with frenzy. Boom. As just a side thing, what have I been up to recently since I've been a little bit light on the streams and the YouTube? Mostly just flipping my sleep schedule around for the Mayhem and hiding from the heat. Thankfully, the heat is finally starting to cool down in the UK, which I'm really, really grateful for. And also, I will admit, I have been a bit of a console pleb, playing a lot of Horizon Zero Dawn recently, which I managed to finish yesterday. I was in like a race like must finish before Mayhem, must finish before Mayhem. And if you have a PlayStation and you haven't played Horizon Zero Dawn, highly recommend picking it up. I think it might be my new favourite RPG. The previous favourite was Elder Scrolls Oblivion, just for reference. I always preferred Oblivion over Skyrim. But yeah, it's good. It's up there. Visually, it's amazing. The combat in it is good. It's got a nice story. It's got a few little cool things going on there. The only one complaint I will have in there, and this is a complaint I have for a lot of RPGs, the loot doesn't feel that meaningful. Very basically, the way the loot in that game works is there are like epic top quality weapons and armor which you can buy off vendors, and all vendors have access to the same armor. There's like one secret armor set you unlock at the very end of the game if you do a bunch of side challenges, which I got, and that's basically it, which is a little bit boring. But you can kill enemies, and they have a chance of dropping modifications, which give like random stats, and that's really where all the gear customization comes in. I like the mod system, but I like it when you're playing a game and you like stumble across a fort, you then explore the fort, and oh, I found the secret weapon at the bottom. Then it remembers the Umbra set from Oblivion, going into the little ruins and stuff. I love stuff like that. It's something I really liked about the early Fable games. Well, the first one, the good one, then the second one was and then the third one was like, let's not talk about that. But that was a series which did the same thing, where it starts with very interesting loot, and then the series ends and it's like, armor is meaningless. I like games with cool loot. It's a big reason why I like Path of Exile. If there are any game developers out there making cool games, make your loot interesting, please. Anyway, that was very off topic. I'm Tarke, and I'll see you on stream tonight with the Mayhem start. Have a good day. Bye-bye.